Hello and welcome to part 4 of me discussing the issues, the problems with the UK trial of Amber Heard and how she didn't win in the UK and why we need to reopen the case. There is a petition for that created by the Black Belt barrister, which is going to be linked in the description box. So please go and check that out. Please go and sign it, read everything, because we really need to reopen this case. We've been talking about this for 3 videos now where I've been showing lots of different parts about how the judge hasn't been really, how the judge was very much biased towards Amber, which you can go and check out there. In this video, we're going to talk about the judge themselves in specifically, and I want to bring this around together to once again bring to you guys' attention something that we see over and over again in the entertainment industry and in the world that we are living in, because there are a few things that a few people have mentioned about the judge and why he already, even before any of this, has some bias as to how he would side with all of this, remembering that the defendants in this case were not Amber Heard. It was in fact the Sun article, right? The Sun article, and the one of the defendants was the executive director at the time, who wrote the article, and the other defendant was News Group Newspaper Limited, who, you know, I believe helped to produce The Sun. Now, The Sun, which is also a sister company of Talk Radio, happens to be where, and Talk Radio happens to be where the judge's son works, or at least at the time of these proceedings. So again, conflict of interest. Now, these are the types of things I always want to bring to the table, because a lot of the time these things, I'm going to go ahead and say allegedly. Allegedly, this is the case, by the way. I want to go ahead and talk about this because there's a lot of times where people be like conflict of interest, like very, very quickly, and an average person would get in a lot of trouble. But with these types of things, it's interesting how these things get overlooked. Nobody points these things out. And I believe that's because in a lot of these cases, like it was mentioned, Rupert Murdoch owns, which is also owned by Rupert Murdoch. Now, as I always shout out to you guys, and if you hear this, what I'm about to say, you're going to say I'm a broken record, but I have a playlist on my YouTube channel about the media. You should go and watch it, because in that playlist, I break down how all these different media companies own everything. And even the media companies in the UK are not even mostly owned by people from the UK, right? I show how the people in the media have been known to be in bed with the government, and all these people are involved in what we see as Hollyweird, the evil that is going on in this world. And that's why this is so important, because I think sometimes people would rather think of, when they hear about corruption, they think of that as the exception as opposed to the rule. Now, I'm not suggesting it's the rule. Thank God for the likes of the Black Belt barrister, who is clearly showing that there are people out there who want real justice, who are fighting in a professional setting, in a qualified, from a qualified position for real justice. However, there is a lot more of these corrupt people in these situations than one might think. And I can give you another example of a suspicion I have in the Britney Spears case, as we talked about before. She was put into the conservatorship for dementia. If you go on my channel, I have a video talking about the symptoms of dementia. And you can go and judge for yourself to see if, number one, she seems like she has dementia, but number two, if it's even possible for her to have been doing what she's been doing, performing, singing, dancing with that condition. Please go and check that video out. And it would be lovely for also a medical professional to do something like that. Although I do have a background in science, but I'm not specifically in medical sciences. So it'll be interesting to hear from a doctor's perspective. But again, we're seeing that for some reason, a judge has made a judgment that doesn't really add up if you think about it, because dementia, she was like 26 and she was like killing it and performing and everything. But it was through the legal system that these things took place. And so this is why it's important for us to question this, especially because, and this is a slight little side note, we have a tendency in society today to assume that because somebody has gone to prison or somebody has been, a trial has gone a specific way, that means that that's how everything was supposed to go and it was fair. We have an assumption in society that judges are always fair. Judges are also biased. Judges cannot take away the fact that they're going to have an opinion to some extent as well. And a lot of them, like, to use the words of Amber Heard, can be greased, you know, You might not think that they would, but a lot of these people know each other. A lot of these people went to school together, these politicians, judges, so on and so forth. And so anyways, check out the media playlist where I break down a lot more of this stuff so you can actually understand. I don't want to get into that in this video, but I want to talk about this because it's disappointing. The level to which the judge was biased in favor of Amber is really quite shocking. You know, it's quite shocking. It is quite shocking. And the fact that he has such close ties to all of this, I'm just a little bit like, how is this something that we're just overlooking? You know, and I know I've kind of just like basically repeated the same thing. But it's typical. It's typical. And I wish I could remember who owns the Sun, because I talked about it in the playlist. That's why I'm telling you guys to go and check it out. But this is how important it is, you know, in terms of who is running trials and who gets decided for what. And I think one of the things that was helpful about the US trial was about it going to a jury, because a jury is a lot less easy to manipulate than a judge. A jury is going to be, there's a lot more people in command who might choose. There's a lot of different people in a jury, and it's harder to manipulate a whole jury of people than it is one judge, you know. And you even hear people, even just in normal cases, like even barristers and lawyers and solicitors, they know what judges are like. You know, I've had that experience with talking with barristers and lawyers and solicitors, where they can say stuff like, oh, we know this judge, that judge is usually really strict on people, that judge can be really nice on people. So again, it just goes to highlight that judges themselves, it's not just like a one picture of like, this every judge is going to be 100% fair as far as the law, because sometimes things come into to perspective. You know, sometimes a judge may or may not see something in their personal, and they can't, when you don't always know to what extent that happens, to what extent their bias is, because if you've never been through something, you might not understand it. And I think that's something that happens a lot in society. But putting that aside, I really do believe there are a lot of corrupt judges in the legal system. And that's why I wanted to kind of talk about this all separately in its own video, just to say that, you know, we've got to be wary of this. We've got to be wary of the fact that people are, and I hate I hate to have to say it, but we have to be realistic. We have to be careful of being so quick to just be like, oh, well, so-and-so was sentenced to so-and-so, so that's it. You know, let's look at the facts that were brought to the table. In this case, there was a lot of information that was brought to the table that the judge decided to dismiss, from audio of Amber literally admitting that she hits Johnny, from Amber literally admitting that she starts the fights, from Amber literally mocking in that same audio Johnny for taking the high ground. These are the types of things that one would think a judge would take into more consideration. But for whatever reason that we don't know, the judge did not decide to do this in the UK trial. And that's why it's important for us to speak about this, because a lot of people, including Amber, have been saying about, oh, well, I won in the UK. She didn't win nothing. She wasn't even involved. And if she had to go through the judicial process in the UK for real, right, I'll be very interested to see what that happens. And that's why it's very important for us guys to ask for this trial to be reopened. You know, before the appeal was denied, there was no, they saw no reason to allow for the appeal. So the only thing we can do now, guys, is use our power. And I always say to you guys, the power is with the people. The power is with the people. Don't ever let anybody tell you that the power is with somebody else. The power is with the people. When we band together, when we use our voices, and we use our one name on a petition thing, or our one support, or our one person showing up. Like I said, even with the Britney Spears case, right? Britney Spears' case, she had been back and forth trying to, you know, deal with this whole situation. But then in 2019, what really broke was the fact that so many of the fans showed up at the actual court case, you know, and were rallying on her behalf. They were creating a loud enough noise that people are like, wait a minute, what? And of course, as I wasn't there, but I was along with them, like, as in I'd been, you know, part of the people supporting Britney Spears from before it became a big thing. And we were all just like, you know, sending all those funny messages on Instagram, like, you know, the classic, like, blink to wear it. I remember we were doing like, wear a yellow t-shirt if you're not okay, or something, and stuff like that. You know, if not for the people backing her up, the system had failed her. And sometimes the system does fail people. That's something that's really important. And, you know, the black belt barrister highlighted the fact, you know, what he really highlighted was the difference. Why is there such a difference between the outcome of the trial in the US and the outcome of the trial in the UK, albeit they're completely different trials, and one was of the judge and one was of the jury. But if whatever the truth is, the truth should mean that the the results of both of those two situations should match up, but they don't, you know. And that's something for us to actually consider, like, why don't these two situations match up together? You know, where is it that we've gone wrong? Now, in the defamation trial, because Amber was actually able to be a defendant, evidence was actually able to be brought to the table to assess her. She was actually tried as a defendant. She was subject to discovery, I believe is the phrase that the black belt barrister used. However, in the UK trial, she was not subject to that. So again, and she wasn't even a defendant, like I said. So it would be interesting, if we really want to make a comparison here, we should have a situation where we're able to put those two things next to each other. And so I do think it's smart, because I was thinking with all of this, you know, I was like, you know, it's good that he's got what he's got with the defamation. I don't really feel like it's enough. I'm sure a lot of you guys don't really feel like it's enough, because again, it was defamation, it wasn't domestic violence. So it's not like he's got justice for the domestic violence he went through. And I was thinking, well, I don't even know what the next step would be like on this journey. But I definitely believe opening up the trial, the case in the UK, reopening it is definitely the best move to go to next, specifically to help, because right now her and her narc minions are running around as if like, oh well, I won in the UK. And again, classic narcissistic tactic, like, oh, he said, she said, oh well this, oh well that, oh well do you know what I mean? That kind of like argumentative, like, let's just always take attention away from the truth. So, oh yeah, I might have lost the defamation over here, but guess what, I won in the UK. So obviously I could have, there's some people that clearly they, you know what, I wouldn't even be surprised. She says, you know what, I might even move to the UK. No, I'm joking, I don't think she'll say that. But just to say that is again another narcissistic tactic, and this is why it's so important for us to speak about this stuff as well, you know, outside of the stuff to do with the judge and Hollyweird. When you deal with narcissistic people are some of the most manipulative people out there. I believe Satan was a narcissist. I really do believe it. I believe the effort they go to, it's like their job. The narcissist, that's like their 24/7 job, is keeping up their fake reality, manipulating people just to get what they want. They do not care about the people who are involved. And therefore, we cannot deal with narcissists as though we're dealing with somebody who's actually interested in improving and who actually cares about how we feel. We must deal with them as somebody who we know has the potential to manipulate and lie. And that's why we need to reopen this, to allow hopefully the right judge, and I pray in the name of Jesus that the right judge gets this case and that it can be reopened, and that enough people sign this petition, so that more of these people can gain justice. Because another important thing, you know, guys, with all of this is, and I say this to you guys all the time, that a lot of people who see things, they get affected. It affects how they decide to go about doing things for themselves. So for example, somebody was mentioning in the comments how, because of what happened with Johnny, somebody that they knew felt comfortable to speak up, to come clean that they had experienced this for themselves, you know. And if not for Johnny Depp's case, so that's why it's important for us, because we're not just speaking up for the celebrities, we're not just supporting them, it's to give the information, you know, to the people, for us to prevent ourselves from ending up in these situations, to get justice for those people. But then also it enables those who are going through it to get justice for themselves. And the more that we let the likes of the Amber Heards run around without any consequences, the less people are going to feel comfortable to speak up. And that's actually going against, you know, women's rights and men's rights and all these things. And that's what we should really be focusing on. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be doing another video, not part of this little mini like 4-video series. I'm going to talk about the jury and how I feel about, you know, just juries in modern day society. So definitely look out for that. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Of course, do not forget to sign the petition, read it, see what it's all about. Check out the Black Belt Barrister's videos, because he's done some fantastic videos and he's an actual legal expert. So I'm just a gal who's commenting from my perspective on everything and sharing the extra bits I wanted to add that were not really so much to do with the legal side of things. So definitely go over there and check out his stuff. Definitely check out so many of the incredible information that's out there online. Other than that, guys, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like this video. God bless you all, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye. Oh, I just remembered. I'm so glad I remembered this at the last moment. This is also why a lot of people look at me on this channel like, oh, this girl, she's just like Jesus freak. This is why I am such a strong belief in God, because I believe God is the only true judge that you can trust, because he sees everything. We don't have to bring evidence to God, because God saw everything. He saw why we did it, he saw how we did it, he saw where we did it and what we did it for and everything. And that is why for me, I stand under the judgment of God and under his justice, because that's the only true justice that exists. Whether we've got good judges or bad judges out there, none of us are God, none of us can know everything, and a lot of people don't get justice just because they couldn't bring enough evidence to the table. And so I just wanted to add that in, because I know a lot of people look at me like, oh, this is just this Jesus girl, she's always talking about the Lord. But this is actually why, because I realize the systems of this world are not something to be trusted in. I realize the systems of this world are not going to hold up. Are not going to, and you can't trust in them. You can't go through something like Johnny Depp and know that you're definitely going to get the justice you deserve, like we've seen in this case, how he ended up not getting the justice that he deserved because of the judge being biased in this case, you know. So this is just another reason, just to let you guys know, not to try and shove anything but down anybody's throat, but just to give people a perspective, because a lot of people get hurt by the corruption in this world and the injustices in this world, and a lot of these injustices come from the justice system. And that's why I trust in he who is just and is always just, who sees everything and who takes vengeance into his own hands on behalf of the people who have been treated wrongly. So I just wanted to add that as well. Now I'm actually finished. Other than that, guys, God bless every single one of you, and I'll see you in my next one.